Welcome to The Two Towers, The Lord of the Rings Part 2. Now, this is actually the book where everything starts getting a little uphill. Now, this is, of course, the rising action, and, of course, people want the climax. They either want the beginning, which starts all this excitement, but they never really enjoy the rising action. But the thing is, this rising action is really important to the story, because without this rising action, nothing can actually happen in the story itself. The Lord of the Rings itself actually can't happen without, Frodo not meeting Gollum, and the Lord of the Rings cannot destroy the ring without without Gollum leading Frodo into the other entrance to the Sheila, the spider, which is also a pretty big reference. Bilbo Baggins's encounter with spiders and he killed them with his trusty sword. Sting! 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 Alright, so what happens next? Well, the next thing that literally happens, I've already told you in the summaries, and so I guess you could just go ahead and watch that for the Two Towers. So what will happen next? Well, let me explain to you. Last we left off with Frodo Baggins is that he's captured by the enemy, orcs. So technically Mordor, but orcs in this case, and that happens, and literally we have no idea what could happen next. So I guess this is where people just make them go ahead and try to make up their own little intuitions about what's gonna happen next. Like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? Ah, I hate you, dark climax ending. And yeah, that's pretty much how LOTR, Lord of the Rings, actually all ends up in climax endings. The two towers themselves are actually important, because without these two towers, nothing can actually happen in this book. They're the ways that were supposed to be the gateway into the city. And apparently Gollum really just wants his precious back, and he does not want it to be destroyed, but he does not want it to go to the dark world. He just wants it to himself. And so how does he go ahead and do this? He does it pretty badly. He just goes ahead, leads them into the trap, because he can't he can't repent himself. And so he goes ahead, and that's the only thing he can do. Go ahead and lead them all the way to Sheila. No! Because that was his original plan, and Gollum always wins. Boo! So I guess what happens if Smeagol always wins, eh? That's an alternate universe, eh? Yeah! So let's just go ahead and let this ring take over you, because apparently the ring is actually pretty important in The Lord of the Rings, which is also why they needed to make a second edition of The Hobbit. Well, the thing about... Alright, let me go ahead and start off with Gollum. Gollum himself is actually an interesting character. I've already told you guys about Gollum in Lord of the Rings 1 review, and he's an interesting character. He has a Gollum side and a Smeagol side, which Sam helpfully named them Slinker, as in Smeagol, and Stinker, as in Gollum. Because Smeagol seemed to be the reasonable one, and Gollum seemed to be like the unreasonable one, and the only one who was like, let's do everything for ourselves. We are selfish, and those kind of things. Well, of course, we want Smeagol to win, don't we? Try playing Lord of the Rings Gollum, then you might actually see what would happen if Smeagol always won every debate. Well, the next thing that can actually happen here is how the whole Lord of the Rings also portrays hobbits. In this case, hobbits courageous, and of course, most of them would actually just like the comfort of home. They're all like, yes, this is the life, this is the life, this is the life, this is the life. And then they realize, oh, wait, I'm a Baggins, and I'm also, I'm go ahead and go on an adventure. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum. And that's basically how Bilbo Baggins will start his adventure. And Frodo Baggins right now has to start his. Frodo Baggins goes ahead, and he just has to pop a ring into the mountain. But the thing is, the ring is like, I want to go to Mordor. And you know what? I do not want to be thrown into the volcano. So keep me, I am your precious. Apparently that's actually what Smaug the dragon actually called him. You have something precious, but it is worth more than gold. Yes, it is definitely worth more than gold, because of how it actually works. It literally has the inscription on it. An inscription I can read to you. One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them, in a land of Mordor, where the shadows lie. To be honest, that's actually pretty bad. In fact, Frodo uses this line as an argument, saying, really? You're gonna, to Gollum, when he says, really? You're gonna swear on the precious? The one? Think about this. One ring to rule them all, one ring to bind them all. Are you really going to put your promise on something like that? And then everything seems to start getting clearer, and that's pretty much how the two towers starts coming in. Of course, these two towers come in, and they're all like, hey, you know what? Let's just go ahead and have adventure. But first, let's have a meal. Gollum's like, can I have some of that? Sure. This is elf food. You are trying to poison Gollum. No, we're not, but you could try it if you want to. Ugh! And that's pretty much how Gollum cannot eat anything except raw fish. And in the movie version, however, Gollum actually complained, saying, "No, you're ruining! Don't cook the fish! You're ruining it! What are you adding to it? It sounds like potatoes! I'm adding potatoes! See? See? And the guys are like, beat them raw! Yeah! And apparently he is that uncivilized. But then the ring, having almost 500 years with it, that actually would make anyone mad. I mean, think of like a demon possessing you for 500 years. Wouldn't your personality be split into two ways? Also, I'm not sure everyone with this split personality will just go ahead and talk to oneself with like different lights in the eyes every time a different personality started talking, which is very weird, by the way. Don't recommend it. So what happens next? What happens next is that the two towers arrived. They go ahead, and of course, Frodo gets kidnapped. No, and that's where the book ends. Boo! Yes, I know. Boo. Finally, we're gonna have to talk about betrayal. Of course, the betrayal is just what I'm talking about right now. Betrayal is basically Gollum saying. Also, it's also the ring thing. Once the ring says, and you know what, I'm done here. Time to go ahead on my next place, my plan. He goes ahead, abandons the master by either shrinking or like enlarging, and the only way you can actually get it to stay with you when it doesn't want you to be, when it doesn't want to be with you, is like put it on chain, because apparently it cannot break chains. I mean, can it shrink just small enough so small that it'll just like go into like the size of one of the ringlings, and then again it still can't break it. Apparently if it goes smaller, then the atoms will probably be weird. Its atoms will be weird. And then of course I actually have a hypothesis for this. If the ring can shrink and grow just so it can slip off fingers or something like that, then shouldn't it just go ahead and like every time it just doesn't want to, it wants to leave its like current master and it's on a chain, can't just shrink down, and then eventually it just shrinks small enough that turns to a speck of gold and then breaks the chain. The chain somehow breaks because of like the weight that's putting on the ring is putting on the chain, and then suddenly it just goes ahead and boom, it just barrels away and it just grows back. It's like an Ant-Man, but it's immovable by itself. But then again, that hypothesis never works because it has to fit the Dark Lord's finger, and Hobbit's fingers are small. Ugh. But anyways, the thing about this is that the thing about this is that the two towers itself is actually an interesting story to tell, because every time we actually see Frodo, this time everyone's split up, and now we want to see what's going to happen to them. Are they going to survive? Are they going to survive? Those kind of things. Those kind of survival moments. So I hope you guys actually enjoyed this episode, and if there is something you learned from this video, please tell me in the comments below. If you think this is a bunch of nonsense, also write that down in the comments and won't kick it out. So, hope to see you guys soon. Until next time, Sean out. Peace. Wear a helmet.